What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn, and today we're going to be talking about Slim Mike McGlinchey. Matt, he's been a topic of hot discussions this season. He looks as thin as a tight end. We've said it multiple times. What do you see his future as with the 49ers? Are they bringing him back? Kyle Shanahan recently said some comments about him that were a little surprising, at least to me. I don't know if you were able to catch them. Basically saying, we'll address in the offseason and we're going to, I think he said we would redraft him overall at the same spot if we had to.
Yeah, that's weird. He's underperformed. I don't think there's any way around it that he's underperformed. The surprising thing to me is that it's taken this long for somebody to ask and for Kyle to address the fact that Mike McGlinchey is severely underweight for what he's playing. Again, like we've said, he looks like a tight end, but he's playing right tackle, and that's a very important position to be playing. And it's one of those things where you can kind of feel like Kyle is going to keep him around. They're going to probably pick up the fifth-year option just because it's going to be financially valuable to do so, considering the other needs on the team. So if you're keeping him around, of course, you're going to be like, yeah, we'd still draft him because you don't want to completely dunk on the guy, right? You don't want him feeling terrible about himself. So, it's a weird thing. I don't understand why he thought it was a good idea to be so skinny, to lose weight. It's like him losing weight only exacerbates the problems that he has. It's like he has bad footwork. He's always back on his heels. People can bull rush him and knock him over. We've seen it a ton of times. And getting lighter is not going to help that. If anything, you'd want to be heavier so that at least you have a set anchor point, right? That you're a heavier guy, you're harder to move. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And it's not like he does particularly well against speed rushers either. So it's like, well, if you're getting skinny to be faster, that's not working. And you get beat by bull rushing and power moves. So what are you actually doing at this point? It's confusing to me.
Yeah, it's almost like he was spending too much time with Joe Staley this offseason, and they had like the same diet regimen. I don't really know what happened, but it's weird, and it's unfortunate because he did look promising. There were some key areas that he was very weak in, but he kind of looked like he was progressing throughout last season, and then he just totally regressed. And any progress that he made is now wiped away. There are a handful of plays off the top of my head where I could just think of him just completely getting thrown onto his ass, and you're just kind of sitting there like, a man that large, even though he is slim, should not be thrown like that, like a rag doll. And the 49ers, I think they will end up bringing him back, but I think it's just strictly due to them not having any other option. And we've seen a lot of fans say it on social media. Why do they keep trotting out Nick Mullins, Mike McGlinchey, etc.? Who else is there? Unfortunately, there aren't too many starting right tackles in the NFL. Offensive linemen as a whole are kind of a premium right now. And they have been for a while, to be honest. So it's unfortunate. It looks like the Raiders got the better deal when they got, I believe, Colton Miller a couple of picks later. Yeah. And it looked like Big Mike was the better of the two, but now a couple of years removed, it looks like the Raiders kind of came out on top there. You always, I think, say it best out of anybody that I've heard. Mike McGlinchey just completely benefited from being able to play next to Quentin Nelson at Notre Dame. It's just like Eric Armstead with DeForest Buckner and Nick Bosa. The surrounding cast made them look a lot better as individuals. People took risks on those guys, or I wouldn't say risk, but they took a gamble on them, and they haven't paid out so far. So it's unfortunate. That's where we are. Do you think there's any scenario in which the 49ers move on and try and replace him with either a no-name guy or kind of a later pick in the draft? Or
I don't think so, just because I think that again, with all the free agents coming up and the decision to be made on Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, and what do you do with pieces like D Ford that haven't panned out but have these large cap numbers, they've kind of put themselves behind the eight ball. So they're limited in the moves that they can make simply from a financial aspect, on top of 2020 being what it is and salary cap coming down by, $23 million or whatever it is. It's one of those situations where they're in a rock and a hard place. So at least McGlinchey knows the system for whatever that's worth. You're going to have to scheme around him, I think. And, it's it's funny to me that there are all these keyboard warriors and Twitter warriors that will defend whoever. I've seen a lot of Mike McGlinchey defense online, and I just don't understand it. He's been playing poor all year. And, people will do that whataboutism. Oh, Laken Tomlinson was worse. Okay, but we're not talking about Laken Tomlinson. Laken Tomlinson, we knew what he was. He was a cast-off from Detroit that we paid next to nothing for to get. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't give up a ton to get Laken Tomlinson. I think we gave up like a 6th or a 7th round pick for him. Like, at that point, okay, expectations are going to be low. McGlinchey has first-round capital behind him, and that makes all of his deficiencies that much more glaring when viewed under a microscope. That's just how it is. High draft position means high expectations. We knew Laken Tomlinson, even though he was drafted in the first round by Detroit, was a first-rounder when we got him. So to compare Mike McGlinchey to a guy that we already knew had deficiencies is kind of silly, especially when you look across the way and you have Trent Williams playing over there and, is showing – and again – not only Trent Williams, but Joe Staley before that, showing you what an actual NFL Pro Bowl caliber tackle is capable of. And then you look at Mike, and I don't understand the people that can just sit there and defend Mike McGlinchey after all this. He did that whole thing where it's like, I'm still here after one good game. At the time, I said, keep it up for make sure you come back next week. And he didn't. And he hasn't said anything like that again. And it's just like, well, look, you're still here, but a lot of the fan base is getting to the point where we don't want you to be here. If this is the effort that you're going to put forth and this is what we're going to get out of you, you're not weighted for the position. And NFL linemen have talked about this all the time. Talk about Hardwick from San Diego, talk about Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns, even Joe Staley. They lose a lot of weight after they're done playing. And that's because they had to do this grind, keep all this unnatural weight on, because it does make a difference in your play. And it doesn't seem like Mike McGlinchey has the commitment to doing what it takes. As much as I talked about Deebo Samuel being a little bit out of shape as far as being a wide receiver and carrying too much weight, Mike McGlinchey is carrying way too little weight for his position. I mean, he looks like he's 255. And that for a right tackle, that's not going to get it done. Not when you're going against defensive linemen who, one, are extremely, extremely athletic, more athletic than Mike McGlinchey is ever going to be, and two, outweigh him by 15 pounds. You're telling me that a Myles Garrett, who weighs 270 pounds, 6'5", 270, and is blazing fast and athletic, you think a Mike McGlinchey at 255? No. Your only hope is to be 300 pounds and hope that you get a paw on him and have enough strength to knock him back enough that you can get your hands on him. But that's not going to happen. And not only can you not beat the speed rush, but now you're getting bowled over by people. It's just not acceptable. So the people defending him, to me, it's ridiculous. And y'all need to stop.
I can see Mike McGlinchey right now flying through the air on his back, going up against a guy like a Myles Garrett. It's extremely unfortunate. I have the quote here, though, from Kyle Shanahan today. Grant Cohn tweeted this out. Kyle Shanahan today on Mike McGlinchey. I am very happy with McGlinchey here. I know John Lynch, and I would do it all over again, draft McGlinchey with the 9th pick if we had the choice to. I was kind of shocked by that because it's one thing to say, look, that's who we got. We're, maybe there are some things to correct, but we'll move forward. Mike's our guy. To go out, I thought that was kind of above and beyond to say, not only am I glad he's here, we would do it all over again. I'm like, Kyle, chill out, dude. Is there somebody behind you with a gun?
Yeah, it's weird, especially he doesn't give Jimmy that kind of boost, right? He's not like Jimmy would be here. We would do that trade for Jimmy all over again. He's all, but the quarterbacks especially, he's good at telling you the quarterbacks did not do the thing. Even with Nick, he's like, listen, Nick turned the ball over and he can't be doing that. He missed a lot of throws out there, so we're gonna have to decide which way we're going. It's just like, you're more upset about your backup quarterback and maybe going to your third string quarterback rather than maybe looking at Mike McGlinchey as a failure as a first round pick. You're the battle between undrafted free agent and a third, fourth round pick, whatever CJ Beathard was, is that you're more honest about that than you are about your first round right tackle performing well below expectation. It's weird to me, and I think that just goes to show that he knows he's stuck. So why even say, oh, we got all this, front facing. He's going to keep that in house. I'm sure he dunks on Mike in meetings and stuff like that. It's just like, you got to get better. I can't imagine they've gone through film sessions where Mike's getting knocked on his ass and coaches aren't saying anything to him. There's no way that they're doing
No
that.
way.
That would just be dishonest. And you'd lose the entire locker room if you're not pointing that out to people, Yep. But maybe it's just, I don't know. Slim Mike seems to be a very sensitive guy, so maybe Shanahan feels like he needs the kid gloves in the press. So who knows what it is, but all I know is it's not good enough, and the defense that he gets sometimes on Twitter is pretty ridiculous to me because we all know better.
The weird kind of like blind loyalists that some of these 49ers fans are to specific players, it's really weird because it's like, I want the team as a whole to do good, to do well. And if one of these players is preventing that from happening, I don't want them on the field. Whereas some of these fans seem to have kind of an allegiance to specific players.
Right. And you see it too. There's like gigantic cat fights on Twitter about Jimmy Garoppolo, or there's like, a bunch of people that are, upset about DeForest Buckner being gone, and but others who are like, well, Eric Armstead was the guy, and it's ridiculous. I've always been a fan of the team first. Like, I like players, but players come and go, and the team is going to be around. So I want the best players on the team for the team's success. Do I like Jimmy Garoppolo? I think he's a likable enough guy in interviews and stuff like that, and he did take us to a Super Bowl, but I want a superstar QB. So if we can get a superstar QB and Jimmy's got to go, then bye-bye. Like, that's just how it is. I was alive I was alive and a fan for the transition between Joe Montana and Steve Young. And that was a hard transition for a lot of people. I was a fan when they transitioned and took Jerry Rice out of the spotlight and put it on Terrell Owens. Like, that's just how it is. Good players come and go. That's how it is. You have to be a fan of the team, but you can't have this blind loyalty to certain players. You can like them and you can hope for success and stuff like that. But to catfight on Twitter and go after each other and talk about people's mamas and, all this and this and that, like, there's no place for that. Like, that's not being objective. At that point, you're fulfilling the term fanatic, and we're all fans, but like, when you get to that fanatical level, you kind of have to just take a step back, take a deep breath, and really reevaluate what you're talking about. And that's where I feel like we're at with Mike McGlinchey, where you have to be honest in your critique of him. And Kyle's going to say what he's going to say because that's coach speak, and you talk up your guys. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, if I was a player on that team and Kyle dunked on me in private, but was, very positive towards me in public, I would respect that. I'd be like, you know what, that's a good thing to do. He's not going out of his way to make me feel bad. He's handling it in house. But for all the Twitter warriors and stuff, man, like, you're not watching. If you think he's playing, don't tell me he had 2 or 3 bad plays when he really had like 12 or 15. Yep. So, and by the way, 2 or 3 bad plays, Jimmy Garoppolo has 2 or 3 bad plays a game, and that's very detrimental at times. So 2 or 3 bad plays, depending on where they are in the game, can make all the difference in the world. So you got to miss me with that. Yeah,
I mean, it's true. Not every snap is worth the same, if that makes sense. I mean, a 4th and goal to win the game is completely different than a 1st and 10 to start the game, If you're giving up these mistakes and these sacks on the most important plays of the game, you're not living up to what you need to be doing, and you're not doing your job. So totally agree with you. I think that for some reason, Mike McGlinchey, I don't know if it's like his personality or his kind of like kid mentality vibe that he gives off, but there's a lot of people that want to defend him, whereas just kind of talking about it straight up. And, no, he messes up a lot. He needs to fix this, this, and this in order to want to even just stay in the NFL, let alone start for the 49ers. So there's a lot that the 49ers are going to need to work on with him, but I think we both agree it starts with his weight. It starts with getting back to tackle weight. He is not like that right now. He's a big tight end. So
absolutely. He definitely needs to eat. And, like the people that are defending him, listen, guys, this is year 3 for him. He's going into year 4 to worry about picking up a 5th-year option. There's an old saying, step up or step aside. And if you're not improving, then the league is going to pass you by real quick. Yep. That old adage, NFL stands for not for long. If you're playing like Mike McGlinchey and you're light like Mike McGlinchey and you're not taking the steps, I think going into next season is going to be a big tell. We're going to see where Mike McGlinchey is going to come in. Is he going to look more like he did at Notre Dame, or is he going to look like he's smaller than George Kittle like he has all season? That's going to be a big telltale to where he's going to be moving forward. And if he doesn't get it done, don't be surprised if the 49ers don't pick up the fifth-year option on him. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah. Two things. I think one of the reasons why Kyle Shanahan defends him so much in the media, maybe not so much, but does it all, I do think part of it is ego. I think he remembered, obviously that's a top 10 pick in my, front office. I, basically vouch for this guy, as opposed to these quarterbacks where, I drafted one in the third round, but the other one's an undrafted guy. That doesn't, waste so much.
It's offense too, because I don't feel like he ever did that for Solomon Thomas.
No, that's true. That's
Solomon Thomas was totally third overall.
Yeah, no, I do think it's offense.
I think he can pawn that off so that was John's guy.
Yeah, exactly. He had the classic penalty. And two, my final point to wrap things up here that nobody talks about is Mike McGlinchey is clearly suffering from Benjamin Button's disease. That is the oldest looking young man I have ever seen in my life. The guy looks like he's 85 years old. And I don't know if he got beat up as a baby or what, and he never healed, but maybe that's affecting him too. Maybe he's getting bullied for being an old man.
I don't know, but I mean, he feels like he's the man enough to wear 69, which we all know the connotation for that. But he also has that little center bar on his face mask, and that's an old school thing to do. And honestly, I would kill for Mike McGlinchey to play like an old school NFL tackle.
Oh yeah.
But right now, he's playing like he doesn't really want to be out there at times, and doesn't know what he's doing. And at this stage of his career, that's just unacceptable. I mean, you go from a mentor and friend in Joe Staley, and hopefully it's just like he's depressed that Joe's not around all the time, which is why I think the 49ers should bring Joe onto the staff specifically for Mike McGlinchey. Like, here, you're Mike McGlinchey's designated coach, trainer, food guy, pillow to cry on, whatever you need, shoulder, whatever, laugh guy, you have to bring him on to kind of like help him out. So I don't know. Maybe it's just that. But you go from that to Trent Williams, who, again, is an all-world tackle. And it's like you're not picking this stuff up. Like your technique is still really bad. What is going on? And, honestly, maybe some of that blame should go towards the 49ers offensive line coach too. So there are things that they can kind of look at to move around. And for me, it's really important that they either figure out what's going on with Mike McGlinchey or get him out of town.
Yep. And I think we're going to end it on that, guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. If you guys like what you see, you think we're doing a good job, do us a solid, hit that subscribe button below, hit that like button as well, and drop a comment below. What do you think is going on with Mike McGlinchey? Do you think they bring him back? Do you think he's able to fix all of his problems with the 49ers and turn it around? Make Joe Staley proud, like Matt said. And also hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we're getting very close to our goal, 10 million subscribers, getting closer and closer every day. And if you guys are watching this on the 17th, the day it's supposed to come out, we still have our jersey giveaway going through today. So make sure you guys subscribe, drop a comment below with your username, either on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, so we can find you if you win. And if you guys are already subscribed and you want to enter, just share one of our videos and tag us in it somehow, bring it to our attention, and you are entered in. Good luck, everyone.
Yep. And go ahead and click the bell for notifications. Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. Until next time, go Niners.